It has finally happened. Warner Bros. Discovery has chosen their new DC heads for the new DC Studios, hereby probably changing the DCEU, at least for the next 4 years. Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix. My name is Chris Wong. So yeah, at first I was like, I'm going to talk about Power Rangers today. But then I looked on the internet and I'm like, yeah, nothing happened to your video. I just added that processing animation because I was literally just processing what just happened. At first I thought it was a fake The Hollywood Reporter account. But no, I saw the verified and I'm like, oh, this is for real. James Gunn, Peter Safran, to lead DC film, TV, and animation division. Basically, they are our new DC Films head. So James Gunn will be the creative side and Peter Safran will be the business side, leading a new DC Studios separate from Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy. They'll be working with them because, they need the studio part, but they're going to report directly to David Zaslav. What's interesting about this article is that they do talk about Todd Phillips' Joker and possibly even Matt Reeves' The Batman universe may be outside of this DC universe that James Gunn and Peter Safran is getting a hold of. Which makes sense because they're kind of like outside the DCU, it's not part of that. And yes, I did say DCU, because I think that is what David Zaslav is using instead of DCEU. From the Wrap, for over 60 years, these and other DC characters have captivated and inspired generations of fans around the world, and as stewards of the iconic franchise, we feel a real responsibility to preserve and expand the DCU for the enjoyment of future generations, Zaslav wrote in an internal memo announcing Gunn and Safran's hire. So I guess no longer it's going to be the DC extended or expanded universe, it's just going to be the DC universe. But I like that statement when he says preserving the DCU, which is effectively, Henry Cavill as Superman. That's probably why the deal was done. David Zaslav says, DC has among the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world, and I am thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction of the story DC Universe, says Zaslav in a statement. Their decades of experience in filmmaking, close ties to the creative community, and proven track record thrilling superhero fans around the globe make them uniquely qualified to develop a long-term strategy across film, TV, and animation, and take this iconic franchise to the next level of creative storytelling. Now, what's also interesting is that this is coming out after that weekend Black Adam box office, which almost to me is interesting. Only because at first, I thought Iram Garcia was going to take over. But maybe he didn't want to leave $7 production, or maybe the fact that Black Adam box office wise didn't do as well as maybe they've hoped. Maybe the critical reaction to the movie, even though the audience score was high, really made them wonder. So I can understand their decision in choosing James Gunn and Peter Safran. Peter Safran, of course, he has done Aquaman, Shazam. Aquaman wasn't that well received, but in general, audience enjoyed it, and it did make over $1 billion. And Shazam was well received with critics and the audience, and it netted them a lot of money. And because Safran is doing Shazam Fear of the Gods and Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, it just makes sense he'd be a partner in this deal. What about James Gunn? Well, James Gunn had banger hits with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Critically and generally, people loved the Suicide Squad. Yes, the box office wasn't there, but we gotta really blame Warner Media at that time. They did the whole same-day theater and HBO Max premiere, so that really cut in and really hurt the box office for the Suicide Squad. James Gunn also made the Peacemaker series, which was generally well received by critics and audiences too. We're honored to be the stewards of these DC characters we've loved since we were children, Gunn and Safran said in a statement. We look forward to collaborating with the most talented writers, directors, and actors in the world to create an integrated, multi-layered universe that still allows for the individual expression of the artists involved. Our commitment to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn and the rest of the DC stable of characters is only equaled by our commitment to the wonder of human possibilities these characters represent. We're excited to invigorate the theatrical experience around the world as we tell some of the biggest, most beautiful, and grandest stories ever told. Now for me, these choices are surprising, though I do understand why they were chosen, but the statement they've made alone makes me really optimistic for the future of the DC universe. Why? Well, in terms of creative vision, I like what they said there. Still allows for the individual expression of the artists involved. Meaning, they're going to be collaborating with artists, but those artists don't have to adhere to the same style as James Gunn or even Aquaman or even Shazam. They're going to be able to express their own artistic style. So no, we're not going to see copies of the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker if you didn't enjoy them. Same breath, it's not guaranteed you're going to have that same style as Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy or Aquaman or Shazam. James Gunn has given up his director chair from the Marvel side in order to become the head, collaborating with other directors to make these movies. The second statement is awesome as well. Our commitment to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn, etc. Yes, he said Superman first. He said Superman first. But for me, just thinking of what he did in the Suicide Squad, or mainly Peacemaker, was that he was trying to get that connectivity across. There were a lot of DC references. And at the end of Peacemaker, the Justice League showed up. Well, some of the Justice League members. I bet if he really had his way back then, Walter Hamada had not kept saying no to people, I bet the entire Justice League would have showed up and had lines, including Henry Cavill's Superman. Now that James Gunn is the head of DC, and he's all about connecting this universe together, you can guarantee it will probably be easier to throw in these cameos here and there and really show that these individual stories will be part of a larger universe more than before. Now, like I said, currently this is only a 4-year deal, which makes a lot of sense because why give them a 10-year deal? Might as well give Warner Bros. Discovery enough time to pivot if this fails. But then if it's successful, we can see a very grand DC universe, a connected DC universe, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the entire DC universe with the actors that played them in a more connected universe than ever before. Now, there are some of you that are wondering, well, what does this mean for if Zack Snyder would ever come back? Well, James Gunn has worked with Zack Snyder before, and Zack Snyder has always had kind words for James Gunn and vice versa. So if years from now they are able to integrate Zack Snyder back into DC films, I think he'd be pretty up for it. So there you have it. I can't help but try to be optimistic about all these plans that are beyond our individual control, and let's look forward to see what will happen next. Well, what do you think about this news about the new DC Films head and the new DC Studios? I know you have a lot of thoughts, so please share them down below.